Hi there folks, welcome back to the IB and Andy Fishing Channel. I hope you're doing really well. It is the last couple of days of October and I've come out to do a little bit of Grayling fishing up here on the Derbyshire Wye, on the Haddon Estate, on the Peacock Fly Fishing Club waters, and I'm really looking forward to this one because it's one of my absolute favourite Grayling venues. While this isn't my first proper Grayling session of the season, it is the first time I've filmed one, so it'll be really interesting to see what we can do today. I've only brought one rod with me. I've got a 9-foot 4-weight, and the intention here is to mostly just fish the duo rig. I just sort of woke up this morning and thought, do you know what, I quite fancy a bit of duo today. It's a technique that I really like when I need to search lots of water, cover lots of ground, really get moving quickly, make longer drifts. Obviously the play off with that, if you're casting further, is you've got to do more mending and stuff like that. But you know what, I actually really enjoy that stuff, weirdly. It's the sort of drift control stuff that I really get a kick out of when it comes to this sort of stuff. So I've left the Euro nymphing rig at home, I've left the indicator rig at home, and we're pretty much just here kitted out to fish the duo. Don't get me wrong, I have got a couple of bits and pieces in the bag as well, a couple of the Oros strike indicators that I can nick straight on. But by and large, we're going to fish big clean cameras, we're going to fish big duo caddis. Got a small selection of flies with me, and the hope is, if we can get a dozen fish out of here today, then 2 or 3 of them might be those big Y whackers. Bit of a weird day weather-wise. It's not quite the same day as we've had recently. We've had some really nice bright blue sky days, but actually this one's a little bit overcast. It's a little bit cloudy. It's not bad. There's a very light wind. Actually, conditions are pretty good. A little bit brighter would be nice, but we'll take this at this time of year, because this time last year I'd have been underwater right now where I'm sat at the moment. Like I say, minimal kit, lots of moving around, small amount of flies, a little bit of tackle, but mostly this is all about covering as much ground as I can and seeing if we can find a first couple of really big grayling this winter season. Let's go find them. Righty, first run of the day. Lovely little gravelly run. There's plenty of space. There's usually a few grayling in this one. We'll start short on this duo rig and we'll just sort of pick away across. I'll probably go through a fly change at some point as well. Just mix things up a little bit. On the subject of flies, we've got a big indicator clean camera on there. Can't really miss that thing. Might be a little bit too much actually, but we'll fish it to start with. Then on the point fly, I've got a single nymph, which is a size 18 deep purple. It's going to be enough weight. It's a nice sort of slim fly, so it's going to drop fairly quickly. And we'll just sort of pick away around here with this thing. Ooh, without falling over, ideally, Andy. There we go. Lovely, even pace run, gravelly. I would expect to find a few grayling in here. Often if they're rising, they're on the far bank, so I'm going to keep half an hour over there for a riser anyway. But in terms of where I'm going to fish, I am definitely going to work my way across the river. Be a little bit careful because I've got a big tree branch behind me. I've got to strike upstream here, which I really don't like, but I've got a big tree on my left, which I can't strike downstream, so I've got no choice but to strike the wrong way, which I'd really rather not do. So I've stayed down kneeling just the first few casts, just in case there is anything down this inside. I don't want to spook the fish down the inside edge. But pretty soon I'll stand myself up because it'll just be a bit more comfortable to cover this area if I'm standing up, I think. There's a fish. That's taken a little while. Got a feeling it's not the right species. Yeah, okay. We'll get this one in, get him unhooked. There's a couple of minutes worth of casting there. Unfortunately not the grayling we're after, so we'll get this guy straight back. Okay, yeah, not the species we're after. It's nice to know that we're doing something half right at least. I'm going to give this another 2 minutes with this fly pattern, and I think I'm going to make a double change. I think I'm going to change the fly, just as a bit of an experiment as much as anything. I think I'm also going to put a little bit more tippet on the dropper here. It's relatively deep over there, and we're probably only set to just over 2 feet. We might not be getting down. With it being a pretty miserable day, it was a little bit colder overnight than it has been the last few nights. Just wonder whether these fish are sat a little bit more down in the water column than maybe they had been on previous days. Okay, so I've made 2 changes. I've lengthened the tippet by maybe, oh no, 15-16 inches, probably not a full 18. perhaps tied it a bit shorter than I meant to actually, and I've also switched the fly to one of my 3mm baby pinks. Just put something a little different through here to that previous fly. It's not as dense as that deep purple. Bead size is a little bit bigger, so it's probably going to sink at about the same rate, I'd say. There won't be much between them. I'll do the same thing again. I'll start short, I'll pick my way across. Is that a fish? No, that's a stick. I'll start short, I'll pick my way across. That's a good sign, because that means that we are fishing lower in the water column than before, because we never really got anything to tick. So I don't mind that too much. And we'll just have another little pick around here for a few minutes. Oh, there's a little rise just come up in front of me there. That's a good sign. Righty, so just moved up a little bit. A couple of reasons. A, I want to fish a little bit further upstream. And B, I just whacked the other camera with a tungsten bead, so I figured I probably ought to get that out of my casting arc. Not a whole lot's gone on really. No more fish risen. I certainly haven't had anything to strike at, he says. Okay, that's worked, and I'm pretty sure that's a grayling. Oh no, I thought it was a grayling to start with. I'm now less sure. What have we got? Right, that's the other species that we're trying to avoid. So we've got the two we don't want out of the way. Can we now find one that we do want? Straight back in, no messing. One of these has got to be a grayling at some point, eh? Now the two trout I have caught there have been a good distance apart, and obviously they're different species, one of which isn't spawning, so I'm not at the point here where I think to myself, actually I probably ought to move away from here because this one's full of trout. Another one or two of those rainbows, and maybe, because they do tend to shoal up at that size, you tend to find them in groups, so we'll keep an eye on that. We don't want to bother the trout while they're out of season, but I also know there should be a stack of grayling in this pool as well. So what's that one? That's tumbling like a grayling. Roughly the same spot. Yeah, that one is grayling. It's got a little bit wrapped up while he was tumbling. Come on. Righty. Okay, third time's a charm. Got the right species. Certainly not one of the Wye monsters, but we'll take him. Hook's falling out in the net. Back you go, bud. Okay, well that little move upstream's worked. And we'll keep popping it up there. That's a fish. That's a better grayling as well. That's more like it. Touch further upstream. Oh, he's off. Okay, interesting. Yeah, just a touch further upstream onto the flatter stuff. Slightly shallower up there. The first cast I've had up there. And we've picked up a grayling straight away. Shame it's come off, but nice sign there might be a few more up there. It wasn't a monster. It wasn't one of the really big ones. Initially when I first hit it, it felt big, but it wasn't one of those. Okay, so nothing else down there in the next 5 minutes or so, so I've moved up a touch. Really nice run in front of us. It holes out into a bit of depth below me and then shallows off as we come up. So my first job here actually is the downstream drifts. Make sure I'm not missing out on anything down here. I think it'd be really hard work to get both the upstream and the downstream drift in the same cast here. So I'm just going to treat the downstream drift as its own entity. Make the mends and manage that through as I see fit, just to do the downstreamer. No. Start popping a few a bit further upstream. So now I definitely am set over depth. We'll see how this fish is in the faster water, but it might be that I have to make an adjustment either to the weight of the fly or to the length of the tippet coming off of that big indicator fly. Don't want to be constantly hitting the bottom. Still just popping this around, exploring this water in front of me. It's one of those areas where there's no sort of obvious, this is where the fish are going to be. I'd say pretty much right across the river channel here, there's a chance of a grayling, and for me this is where the duo sort of comes into its own, because you can cover so much water with it. Casting's a little lower maintenance than if we were fishing a big indicator rig. Obviously we get much longer drifts than we would if we were fishing Euro nymphing styles. It's always got its disadvantages, the duo. Obviously, you sort of set at a fixed distance in terms of the depth, and you know, there's only so much weight one of these indicator dry flies can hold up. But in this situation where you've got to cover a lot of space, it's probably the best one of the lot at doing that. Just gone through a very quick fly change, nothing too crazy. It's a fly actually that it's probably not featured in videos very often. I've been using it for years. It hasn't really got a name. I've always just called it my Wye Special. Noticed quite a long time ago that these fish, when the water's clear, they tend to prefer more natural looking flies. And this is a thing that I tied years ago. I don't really use it anywhere else. Silver bead, very, very thin body, bit of a hackle, bit of a CDC hackle that is. And the body, the nymph that the body's made out of, I can't get anymore. And all of the substitutes I've tried just haven't been as good. And I've got about half a spool of this nymph left, which is probably enough for 50, 60 flies maybe. And I'm saving that thing. I only tie flies with it when I absolutely have to. It has been very effective for me over the years. Shot downstream off me almost as soon as I hooked him. The camera on my chest cut out for some reason, so you've just lost a couple of seconds of footage while I had to play around with that. Can I get this fish back in towards the edge? It's one of the sort of untalked about challenges of fishing from the bank, I reckon, is just landing fish can be hard. Take my time. It's a nice one. It's not a monster, but it is a nice one. It's one of the fish that we've come here for. Bit of a lunge there. We're only on 7x tippet, so there's only so hard we can pull back as well. It might be that to net this fish, I have to shoot downstream a little bit here, because I don't think I can pull him up this inside feed line. Yeah, I think I'll just duck out the camera for a sec. He saw me. Again, it's another fish that's got wrapped up in that tippet. It's weird that, how often this has happened today. You can see the fly in his mouth, but I reckon that I'm actually pulling from sort of his backside. But eventually, I have got him in the net. So I've just discovered something that you guys knew all along, and that's that the other camera wasn't running for that entire thing, so that's going to be a bit of a weird edit. I've just given this guy a quick weigh and a measure. He's 39 centimetres, ooh, and 1.4 pounds. So a nice fish. As I say, not one of the monsters, but you know, we've been here half an hour. That's a few grayling, a couple of out seasoners. We'll take this for a start. Ready, bud? Let's get you back and away. Yeah, that'll do. The joys of filming yourself fish. You finally hook a good one, and then you learn that one of your cameras wasn't running and the other one cut out halfway through playing the fish. We'll try and make a better job of the next one, but it's given us a little bit to go out there. We've had a few takes in this scene. Flies definitely worked. So at the very least, it's given us a bit to go out in terms of where they might be. Might see if I can get one more fish out this pool. I want to try and fish as much different water as possible. I'm already fishing a little bit slower than perhaps I'd anticipated. So we'll perhaps see if we can just get one more fish of any species, whatever it is. And then once we've got that one fish in the net, I think we'll move on. Okay, well, I probably have already spent a bit more time in that first pool than I anticipated. I promised myself I was going to keep moving and stay mobile, and I spent 45-50 minutes in one place. I'm always sort of, in the first hour of a day's grayling fishing, I'm always trying to work out if there's a pattern, you know. Is there a fly colour that's worked better than the others, or is there a type of water that they seem to be sat in? To be honest, after that first kind of 100 yards of water, I am none the wiser. There was nothing there that really stood out. There was some fish around that high oxygen area, that's where we caught that last better fish. So maybe that's something for me. It wasn't particularly deep there either, which, to be honest, if you're fishing the duo is a good thing. The last thing I want is fish sat in 5 foot of water when all I've got is this duo clink to hold the weight up. So yeah, I'd say it's more good news than bad so far. Ooh, more good news than bad so far. I haven't changed the fly. I've kept that Wye Special on for the moment just because it's the one that's just worked. But I will be flipping flies around again to see if I can find a thing that works better. Okay, so I needed to dress the duo fly anyway, and I wanted to dress the leader. It got a little bit sunk, I wasn't mending very well, so I took the opportunity to just try a little fly change here. I've gone for a size, well, it's a size 24 fuller mill orange tag, a fly they bought out this year that stood out in their range straight away. It's not a size 24 because it's a fuller mill hook, so it's probably more like a size 20. I think it's on a 2.3 mil bead, so it's not mega heavy, but it's not super light either. And I'm just thinking over on that far side, where it's not quite as deep, I might be able to still make a drift here without getting loads of false takes. It's just interesting to try something different through a piece of water that I've already fished. Yeah, they do two of these. They've done an orange tag and a red tag in smaller sizes, and I've actually fished them quite a lot, sort of this late summer and autumn. Quite a lot of success on these. It's made me think about the sizes of my own flies a little bit as well. Okay, so just moved up a touch just so I can pop this smaller fly a bit further upstream, try and get this thing down. Oh yeah, that works straight away. What have we got? I think it's a grayling from the way it's tumbling. It's literally first cast after moving up. Yeah, it is a nice grayling. It is a nice grayling. Righty. Come here, net. Oh. Not quite as big as the last one, but he's not far off. Yeah, he'll be close. He'll be close. Again, he's gone into a position where I've got to drag him upstream, and if I was just fishing here, if I was just here to catch fish for myself, I would now move myself downstream as well to try and net this fish further downstream of me. But because I've got the cameras here, I'll see if I can drag him up here instead. It's a nice fish. Seems to have got a little bit bigger since the first time I saw it. So the problem with graylings, different to trout, is they just sort of, they're happy to let the flow just take them into places, stick that fin up and just sort of kite. It's very, very hard once a grayling's got downstream of you to get it back up to you. I'm putting a lot of pressure on what is a tiny little hook and a soft mouth fish just to try and get this near me. I am slowly working him towards me. The problem is, as soon as he sees that net, he does that. I thought he should have been pretty tired by now, and he's still got a bit left. This is always frustrating with grayling. I think I'm just going to go netting downstream. Obviously, if I move downstream, he moves downstream with me, but he was over the net then. If it was a lighter net, he's the big heavy McLean's thing. If I had a lighter net, I'd have got him then, and now he's wrapped around those irises. I am welly deep, but he is in the net eventually. Oh, what a fuss. Okay, so again, I've got a weight and a measure on this one. This guy's 43 centimetres, so much longer fish. £1.05 pound. So you can see there from what I was saying about the previous fish being an outlier, this fish is 5 centimetres longer and only an ounce heavier. It's a lovely fish, absolute cracker. Happy with those. Those 40s are what we're here for. Lovely fish. Nice handful of grayling, that. Off he goes. Okay, so maybe one there for the slightly lighter fly. Nice, nice, nice. That's the stamper fish. Lovely stuff. I think we'll pop that one up there again a couple more times. Let's see what happens. Start down the edge and work our way over. Righty, so this has been a pretty quiet last 50 minutes or so, to be honest. I've fished 3-4 different spots, a few different sort of types of water, and in truth, other than one possible take, I've got basically nothing to show for it. Certainly no fish, almost nothing to strike at. 2 of the spots were a lot deeper and more slow than most of the water I've fished so far today. In truth, they were probably more like the water you'd fish the indicator in. But I wanted to have a look, because we haven't had lots of action in any sort of water. I don't feel I can rule anything out, and that's a real problem, to be honest, when you're grayling fishing, because there's only so much water you can cover in a few hours. A big change in the weather. When I say big change, there's been a significant change in the sort of light levels. It's gone pretty dark. It happened about an hour ago, and I can't say with absolute certainty that that's what's having the impact on the fishing. It's not something I ever like when I'm grayling fishing. Like nice high light really for grayling. That's my preference, that's for sure. Something a little bit brighter. Certainly it's gone very, very dark. That cloud's dropped in. Couple of degrees drop in air temperature as well, I'd say. It actually feels like it could rain. Going through here with a 3mm baby pink to start with, just because of that light having dropped, something that they can have a look at. Ooh, okay, that's the first time anything's happened in a while. Yeah, just because of the drop in the light levels, I just wonder, something with a little bit of pop and a little bit of colour. Let's make sure they see it. Okay, so I've just moved up a little bit again, just to the very top of this pool where it holes off. I'm now on my last camera battery. I am running out of time here. This second hour has just sort of drifted away from me completely. Amazing how quickly things can change at this time of year. First 45 minutes or so just looked like we were going to pick up fish all day. And then that second hour, you won't believe there are any fish in the river. There's a fish, finally. Just chucked one a bit further upstream. First time I've managed to get one to properly extend out fully upstream of me. It's not a big one, but it is another grayling at least. There we go. I can still do it. Not as big as the other guys, but I felt like I needed to document this because there's a possibility it might be the last grayling I ever see. Just in case it is, there's a few more up there. I've just moved the other camera so you guys can see what's going on. It's a real pig of a spot. That low-hanging branch just below me makes everything so much more difficult. It's the one thing about fishing somewhere where you're not allowed to wade. You do have to learn some funky casts, do some weird stuff just to get your flies where you want. I wonder if I could get one even more down the inside. It does mean throwing my back cast a bit more across the river. There's peril there because there's a load of trees. Yeah, that's nice. That's a really nice line. Come on, fish, that'll do. Come on, fish. Eat that fly. There. Eat it. Okay, so nothing more out of that pool after that first grayling, and then I've fished another couple of areas since then. Grand total of 1 out of season brownie, and to be honest, it's just gone 4 o'clock. Now I'm running out of both time and light here. I'm pretty much at the top end of this beat of water, so I'm not going to get much more out of this. I really feel like I've been particularly lucky with the conditions here. That cloud really dropped in after the first hour and it's made such a difference to the conditions. It went much darker, and where the first hour was relatively productive, mixture of trout and grayling granted, but we were getting takes. The next 2 hours since then, since that light went bad, have just been rubbish. It's really switched off. I don't feel like I'm doing a whole lot wrong. I don't think I've changed anything or done anything particularly different to what I did in the first hour. I know I've been fishing good water. I've fished good varieties of water as well. I've just stuck to sort of one thing. I've tried to mix it up a little bit, and really it feels like nothing has worked. Maybe it's not me, maybe it's the river, maybe it's just not fishing very well today, which would be ironic because this has fished really nicely for the last 2 weeks. I've had some really good guided days on it, and then the day I come down to fish it, it completely dies on its arse. But yeah, it is what it is. Righty, fly change. I've put one of those tiny little fuller mill red tags on. Let's just see. I was sort of caught between the red tag or the orange tag, but the reds are probably a bit more visible in this sort of light for them, so we went down that route. Much smaller than what I was throwing previously. Oh, there's a fish. Alright, what we got here? I think that's a grayling. That's come out of absolutely nowhere. That's come over an area that I've covered over and over and over again. I've been stood here for 5 minutes, basically drifting. over that same spot because it's the start of the drift. I'm dropping it up there and letting it drop down. Oh, that's a nice grayling as well. That is a nice grayling. He's come out of absolutely nothing, but he is in the net. You shouldn't really be surprised catching fish, should you, when you've gone fishing? But that one, given how the last hour's gone, has come as a real surprise. Well, I've just given it a quick measure on the mat. I'm not going to weigh this one. 36 centimetres. It's not one of the really big Wye fish. We'll give him a quick lift up. As I say, he's not a monster, but given how the last few hours have gone, we'll take what we can get and get him straight back. Alrighty, thank you very much for breaking up the silence there. That was much appreciated. Absolute buzzer beater of a fish, and that is going to be my last cast of the day. Well, that's been a right old grind, hasn't it? Crikey, what a day. I won't say day of two halves, but it's probably a day of 3/3, the second two of which were pretty quiet. Yeah, I was really optimistic after that first hour. We found some nice fish, sort of felt like we were getting to grips with what it was they wanted. We caught on the more natural flies mostly, and it just sort of felt set. I thought we were going to have a really good afternoon then, and then this cloud just dropped in a little bit. The light levels backed off a little bit, the temperature dropped, and all of a sudden there was just nothing. Other than that very first pool in the first, 20 minutes was it? I have not seen a bug hatch off this river all day, and that is completely out of the ordinary when you compare it to the last 2 weeks up here, because we've had pretty good hatches, both of pale wateries, the kind of late season olive, and of the stonefly, the little needle flies, and the fish quite like both of those. I've seen nothing of that all day. It just suggests there's not a whole lot of food coming down this river, and actually the way it's fished this afternoon has sort of suggested the same. In truth, I'm not even sure if there's a vlog here. This might not get made into a vlog, obviously if you're watching this now it did, but there's an awful lot of footage of me just standing casting at absolutely nothing. I've been grafting so hard I haven't even had a chance to put the drone up, although in this light Derbyshire's probably not looking at its absolute best at the moment. As ever, the majority of the flies that we've used today are in our clear and coloured water grayling packs, and actually we've got some big news coming very, very soon, because as asked for by you guys a lot over the last 4 years, we are now going to start to do individual patterns on the web shop, so keep an eye out on that. That's coming up soon. A selection of the flies that we do in the packs we're now going to be doing as individual fly patterns. So as I say, keep an eye out on the web shop because that stuff's coming very soon. Really hope you've enjoyed it. You've probably enjoyed watching me flog away at this. I found that really tough but really enjoyable. I hope you guys have enjoyed it too. Hopefully I'll come back here pretty soon on a day when it's fishing a little bit better and show you guys exactly what the Derbyshire guide got to offer. In the meantime, I've got about 1.5 miles walk back to the car because I'm as physically far away from the car as I could be while still being on this stretch of river. It's a long walk back. It'll be pitch black by the time I get back. Guys, thank you very much for watching this. Really appreciate it. Give it a like. If you're not subscribed, please do that. And I will see you guys again for some more fishing and stuff very, very soon. Take care, folks. Bye bye.